Welcome to the very first video of your Chinese learning journey. In this video, I'll give you a beginner-friendly overview of how Chinese works, from spoken dialects, to the writing system, to pronunciation, tones, and grammar. By the end, you'll see that learning Chinese isn't impossible. In fact, it can be fun and exciting. Let's get started. China's official language is Mandarin Chinese, which is based on the Northern Chinese dialect. It's called 普通话 in China, 国语 in Taiwan, and 华语 in Singapore. Almost every region in China has its own local dialect, but most people can also speak Mandarin. Kind of like how people in the US have different accents, but can all speak standard American English. These dialects are not just accents though. They can sound as different as Spanish and Italian. But they all share the same writing system, which unites Chinese speakers across different regions. Instead of an alphabet, Chinese uses characters. The writing system is called Hanzi. Each character usually represents one syllable and one unit of meaning. Originally, the characters look like pictures of objects. However, over thousands of years, they became more stylized. Mainland China and Singapore use simplified characters, which are written in fewer strokes, whereas Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau use traditional characters. Learning Chinese characters directly can be quite overwhelming. That's why we use Pinyin, a system that spells out Mandarin pronunciation using the Latin alphabet. It's also how people type Chinese on digital devices. For example, this character is written in Pinyin as 我. Pinyin also includes the tones to ensure correct pronunciation, because different tones usually have different meanings. Mandarin has 5 tones, 4 that are pitched, plus a neutral tone. The first tone, symbolized by this horizontal accent above the letter, maintains its pitch from start to finish. For example, ma, sha, fa. The second tone rises upwards like this: ma, sha, fa. The third tone falls and then rises: ma, sha, fa. The fourth tone falls like this: ma, sha, fa. The fifth tone is neutral, so there's no accent, so you don't modify the way a word is pronounced. Now repeat after me. Let's say the word ma using the 5 tones. Ma, mother. Ma, hemp. Ma, horse. Ma, scold. Ma, question mark. Congratulations! You just learned 5 new Chinese words. Don't worry too much about pronouncing tones with perfect accuracy at this point in your journey. It's just good to be aware of them so you can begin to recognize them when you hear the Chinese language being spoken. Most Chinese words are compounds, made of 2 or more characters. For example, 电话 is electric plus speech, which translates as telephone. 手机, which is hand, plus device, translates as mobile phone. Much of the Chinese language is very literal, and you will soon see the overlap with certain words using the same characters. A few modern loanwords exist in Chinese. These are borrowed from other languages and pronounced slightly differently to suit Chinese vocabulary. For example, 沙发 means sofa, 咖啡 means coffee. Chinese has a heavy influence on Korean and Japanese when it comes to vocabulary. So learning Chinese will help you in the future if you decide to learn more East Asian languages. Chinese grammar is generally much simpler than languages like English, but there are a few fundamental rules that may seem unusual at first. But in time, your understanding will grow, and the logic of the language will become clear. Here is some of those fundamentals. There is no verb conjugation. This means that verbs don't change form for tense or subject. So in English, you will say, I eat, I ate, I will eat. But in Chinese, 我吃 can mean I eat, I ate, or I will eat. So to show that an action has already happened, Chinese use time words or particles like 了 for past. 我吃 I eat. 我吃了 I ate. Chinese very commonly ask each other, 你吃了吗? Which means, have you eaten? Because of the importance of the food culture and eating in China, this replaces where English speaker would normally say, how are you? Here's your first Chinese greeting. Repeat after me. 你好,吃了吗?你好,吃了吗? Your concern for your Chinese acquaintance having a full stomach or not will endear them to you, and is a friendly and respectful way of greeting just about anyone in China. There are no plurals in nouns. 苹果 can mean apple or apples. Subsequent videos will go into this in more detail. But for now, just know that a prefix or a major word will denote where something is singular or plural. Major words are prefix words used to classify items. Major words like pair, handful, or bundle are plentiful in the English language, but are much more important in Chinese, with almost every noun having a major word before it. They are needed to give context to a noun because there is a lot of overlap with similar sounding words in the Chinese language. Here is some examples so we can get a taste of this concept. 这把椅子,一条鱼,两杯咖啡,一个苹果. Try repeating them after me. 这把椅子,一条鱼,两杯咖啡,一个苹果. See how the structure goes. Quantity, major word, noun. Don't worry about learning all the major words right away, because there is a general major word, 一个, which can be used as a general classifier if you ever get stuck. It's the most common major word and simply means one of. There are no genders in nouns or articles like a, an, the in Chinese, which means one less thing for you to learn. So, Chinese may look intimidating initially, but it's not as impossible as it first seems. Once you understand the general grammar, Pinyin, and the use of major words, it starts to make sense. And remember, billions of people grew up speaking it every day. So with the right approach, you can do too. We have many more videos going into detail about specific aspects of the Chinese language, as well as videos for you to simply revise pronouncing words and sentences. Good luck, and see you in the next one. 加油!